On the program today, my top 8 tips on how you can increase productivity and become a better writer. Let's go. Hey guys and gals, boys and girls, authors and author wannabes. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Your old buddy Tim back as usual to dispense a little wit, wisdom, and advice on the topic of writing, on becoming a better writer. And today on the program, my top tips for increasing productivity. I'm actually going to tell you how I do things, and believe it or not, I'm a pretty productive guy. But before we get started, let me remind you, as always, if you like what I do on the program, click that subscribe button down there. God forbid you miss an episode of this, because this is an entertainment value. So click that subscribe button. Give me a like if you like what I do. And above all, don't forget, leave a question or comment below. If you have something to say on this topic or any topic that we cover on the program, leave it below. And if I use your question or comment, you'll get a free digital copy of one of my books, either Sins of the Father or Angel of Mercy. Uno momento. You know what that is? That's the sound of a happy man right there drinking his morning coffee. So today on the program, my 8 tips for increasing productivity. You know, we only have a certain amount of hours in the day as writers. I do this full time. Most people do not. So you've got to carve off the time to do it. So there are little things that I do to increase my productivity. And here are some tips for you. Maybe you can use them. You know, one of the challenges that I face as a writer is I have OCD, ADD. I have all those letters that mean I have a hard time focusing. So I really had to create a routine, a process, if you will, so that I could just get stuff done. And this is how I do it. Number one, and this is a big one, I believe, know what you're going to write before you sit down in the morning. I think it was Hemingway who talked about, the first step to becoming a great writer is to know a day ahead of time what you're going to write tomorrow. And this kind of goes along with that, because if you don't know what you're going to write, or you don't have some idea, it's very easy to sit there and stare at a blank screen or a blank piece of paper. So if you know what you're going to write, if you know what the scene is in your head, in this scene, Eli is battling the aliens, trying to escape. Okay, that's a high-level topic, but it gives me something to work from. So tip number 1, know what you're going to write before you sit down. Never sit down with a blank head and a blank sheet of paper, because it'll stay that way for a while. This is a big one for me, and I know I say they're all big ones, and they are. Turn off the outside world. Now, you may have seen this program where I'm in the middle of a video and a dog will jump in my lap, or a couple of dogs will go at it. You know, we do small dog rescue here, and right now there are 4 dogs sleeping on the floor over there. So you've got to learn to turn off the outside world. The dogs aren't really a distraction to me anymore. It's things like social media, email, the phone, all those things. You've got to turn them off. What I do is, before I start writing, I'll spend 15, 20 minutes answering emails, taking a look at social media, all of that stuff. But when it comes time to write, the phone is turned off. The browsers are closed. I am going to focus on one thing, and that is that blank page in front of me. So turn off those distractions. Find a nice, quiet place to write. You know, you may not be like me. I'm very lucky to do this full time. I've got my office here at home. You may not have that. You may do your writing at a coffee shop. You may have to do your writing, at your office after hours. Whatever it is, wherever you write, you have to learn to turn off the outside. I could not write at a coffee shop to save my life. There's just too many distractions. You know, there are too many squirrels running by. But that's big one for me. Turn off the outside world. Again, email and social media are the greatest killers of productivity, in my opinion, that there are, because so many people worry so much about checking their Facebook every 3 seconds. Turn that shit off. Number 3, put your fingers on the keys and just start writing. This is what I call stream of consciousness writing. You're basically creating the skeleton that you're going to go back and put some meat on. don't worry so much about getting it right the first time. Chris Fox, who I dearly love his work and his advice, he talks about how he is able to write 5,000 to 7,000 words a day. And he has a process much like what I do, where he just sits down, he puts his fingers on those keys, and he hammers it out until he hits a particular limit. You need to do the same. Just sit down and start writing. Don't worry so much about the spelling or the syntax or the grammar. Just get some words on paper. You're building a skeleton. Okay? Tip number 4, write in chunks. You need to have goals, whether they are hourly goals or word count or whatever. But what I like to do is I like to write 30 minutes at a time. That's about the extent of my brain power and my focus. I'm getting distracted as we speak. So I'll write for 30 minutes, and then I'll get up, I'll refill my cup, or I'll go down and, I've got 10, 11 dogs here. Someone always needs to go outside. But I get up, I move around, I stretch. I'm an old man. If I sit for more than 30 minutes, I stove up, as we say here in the South. So write in chunks. 30 minutes is a good thing for me. It doesn't overextend my brain. It doesn't wear me out. I can get up after 30 minutes, walk around, come back, and I'm ready to go again. Number 5, let's see what I do. Yeah, after I do that, when I come back after the 30 minutes, I will typically go back and review what I just wrote. Now, I mentioned Chris Fox earlier. He'll hammer those 7,000 words and then go back and do an edit. I like to go back and edit what I just wrote. And I have found that works really well for me, because that's the point where I'm putting meat on the skeleton. You know what I mean? I sat down for those 30 minutes. I just hammered out a bunch of words. Now I'm going to spend another 30 minutes or however long it takes going back and putting meat on those bones. And the thing that I have learned is, if I write 1,000 words in 30 minutes, and then when I come back and I edit and go over them, typically those 1,000 words will turn into 2,000 or 3,000. And so that's what works for me. I'll build that skeleton, I'll take a break, and then I go back and put meat on the bones. Again, after that, I'll take another short break. I'll go have lunch. I'll go, to the gym. I'll stop and give my brain time to rest. And then I come back and I just do it again. I start again. I sit down. I know what I'm going to write. I get rid of distractions. I write in those chunks, and then I go back and edit what I just wrote. And that works for me. It may not work for you. You may need to vary that a little bit. But what I have found is in doing it that way, I actually have increased my productivity, where I'll typically write 4,000 to 5,000 good words a day. And those are good, solid, edited words that I've gone back and done. And I think this is also key, is you have to set goals. You have to have goals, whether they be daily goals, weekly goals, whether they're, I'm going to write for X number of hours, I'm going to write for X number of words. For example, I have a weekly goal. When I'm working on a book, I try to get at least 15,000 words a week. Now, if I can do 15,000 words in 3 days, party time, all right? If it takes me a week, that's okay. Because my goal at the end of the week, and I usually work 5 days a week. I'm not going to work Saturdays and Sundays. I'm not a slave to this. But that means to me I need to average 3,000 words a day. Those are my limits. Now, some days I might write 1,000 words. And then some days I'll write 6,000 or 7,000 words. And I used to do it on a daily basis, but I was kind of driving myself crazy. So I started doing it on a weekly basis. I have 15,000 words. Knowing that at the beginning of the week really helps me write that many words. And some weeks I come up with, last week I wrote 28,000 words. And again, those were good, solid, edited words that will go on now to my editor. So there you go. Know what you're going to write ahead of time. Turn off the outside world, get rid of those distractions, put your fingers on the keys and just stream of consciousness write. Write in chunks, take a break, review what you wrote, either keep writing or go back and edit that. It's up to you. And again, take those short breaks, recharge that brain. Remember, the brain, I believe, is a muscle. And you can wear that sucker out, or you can build it up to something that will deliver. And again, that's what I do every day. That is my daily goal. Now, some days I may finish my writing by noon. If so, that's a good day. I'll go goof off for 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes I write till 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. You know, that's the thing about writing. We're not punching a time clock here. We're creating. We're writing. So do what works for you. But again, the biggest thing with me is to turn off those distractions, put my ass in the chair, and it's a pretty wide chair, and just write. Just write. It's not that hard. Again, look at my friend Chris Fox has some great videos on his process. He also has books. I love his book. I think it's 5,000 words a day. Look at his process. It's very much about head down, stream of consciousness, just write. And that's what it comes down to. So, hey, hopefully that was helpful for you. If it was, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up, click the subscribe button. We appreciate you more than you know, and I love to get feedback from you. So leave me a comment if you want, and if I do use your question or comment in the show, I'll send you a free digital copy of one of my books. Okay, so hang on a minute. It don't get any better than that, folks. All right. Get out of here. Go write. Go be productive. Quit watching these videos. Gosh, what a distraction this must be.